outside the country believe that Indonesia has had actually a pretty good record over the last few years. Of course, they're not experiencing what's happening in the country. What they see is Indonesia taking a leading role in terms of the world, being involved in G20, for example. Tell us exactly what you mean by hijacking democracy.
You know, democracy is not just elections. Democracy is also political culture, fairness, transparency. You know, we have many elections in which the voting list of voters are full of ghost voters. Basically, it's fraudulent voting lists. How can we have a real democracy with ghost voters? And the number is quite amazing, you know, and even at present we are now demanding an investigation and cleaning up of the voting list. Because how can we have elections with a fraudulent voting list? You know, people who have died many years ago, they're still there. 5-year-old kids are still there. You have names that come up maybe 30 times, the same name with different addresses. You know, so this type of fraud is very prevalent. And the buying of votes, the buying of election officials is very prevalent. That's what I mean by the hijacking of democracy. So, on the surface, it looks good, but in substance, a lot must be achieved. And the problem is, if our people in the end lose trust in government, lose trust in institutions, then I'm worried. I think there can be a real breakdown in the body politic, you know, in our political life. Because history teaches us that if the people lose trust in the institutions, it's the beginning of breakdown, of a failed state.
You know, Indonesia is a huge country. I was just reading an article that was saying that there are more Muslims in Indonesia than there are in Egypt, Syria, and I think Lebanon all put together.
I think we're the largest country with the largest Muslim population in the world, I think.
Given that, what kind of leader is needed? And given what we've seen around the world, it seems that there is a change in the mood, that people want transparency. They may not want the kind of strong leadership that I gather that you believe is necessary.
I think every leader should be strong. How can you be a leader if you're not strong? You must have strong character, you must have strong integrity, you must have a strong belief in common sense, in honesty. How can you have a weak leader anywhere in the world? You know, Margaret Thatcher was considered the Iron Lady, you know. So how you? So I don't think that's a relevant position. What I think is now, I once met a very wise and honest Indonesian political leader who's retired now, a very successful governor of one of our provinces. And he told me, you know, Prabowo, the essence of leadership in government is very simple. Two things, he said. Love your people, use your common sense. So this is sort of guiding me, you know. The myth of our people, the mythology, the legend is always yearning for the just leader. We call it in Indonesian Ratu Adil. Ratu is the prince, yeah, or the princess, or the queen, or the king. Adil is just. So we can translate it as the just leader. Our people want a just leader.
Prabowo Subianto has reinvented